bicycle accident when I was 6 years old, and I injured myself and was never allowed any kind of contact sports from that time on. I considered this to be quite an oppressive thing to live down. I was very, very envious of boys that could go out and play baseball and basketball and football and so forth. I couldn't. And so I stayed indoors and banged away at the piano. I'm sure my mother wanted me to be a concert pianist. I had a certain, I guess, talent for it. Of course, my father wanted me to be a chemical engineer, and he won out. I continued to study my piano in college. However, at that point, I decided I'd better do something about this body of mine and develop something that looked like a decent masculine frame and get some muscles and some shoulders going. So I went out for crew. I was quite successful. As a matter of fact, I rode on the freshman crew at Princeton. I rode on the JVs, and I rode on the varsity crew for 2 years. But it put an end to my piano playing. So I was no more the classical pianist that I was at that point. I still play, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's great relaxation to me, and I guess you have to classify that as a hobby. Oh, I think without question my father was the most influential person on my life. I worshipped him. As far as I was concerned, he could do no wrong. He was an incredible person. He simply applied himself to a job, and any time I disagreed with him, his retort to me was, "Bill," he said, "if you would just think about this thing as long as I've thought about it, you'd come to my conclusion." You see, so no, any time that I disagreed with him, I just hadn't thought anything through. In spite of that, I had a remarkable relationship with him. I just loved to sit and talk with him. And he was the architect of this company. There's no question about it. There's sort of a reverence for my grandfather when you figure that he stowed away on a boat bound for Baltimore, out of Germany as an orphan. Just attracted to this great magnate, the United States of America, the land of freedom, the land of opportunity. Not the land of free lunch, but the land of opportunity. He came over here with absolutely nothing and carved this little business out. 1914, when Colorado went dry, she put him out of business. The man had a personal fortune of $2 million. That's a lot of money today, but imagine what it was back in 1914. And a little pile of brick buildings here he could have simply walked away from. He was way past his prime in age, was in failing health, but he didn't walk away. He wasn't going to walk out on his people, and he was going to make sure that every one of his people had a job if they wanted a job. And that's what he did. He died in 1929. Still, I don't think he had any dream that prohibition would ever be repealed. And of course, when it was repealed, and finally in 1934, and the brewing industry got a rebirth, my father was on deck and raring to go, and had been educated in the technology of brewing, and was just ideally positioned to take off, which he did. But getting this company through those 20 dark years took just about every one of those $2 million. Now that had to have been a sacrifice. It was impossible for my father to be dishonest. It's impossible for me to be dishonest. It doesn't make any sense to be dishonest. He applied himself. He had his these principles. I'm sure they came down from his father, sort of by osmosis, get into him, and they get into me, and I think it sort of passes along. It's sort of a family, almost an ideology, I guess you'd call it, that just a dedication to the, to the company, to the people of the company, an awareness of how great they are, and how important they are, and the fact that it takes all of us, to get the job done. Following the war, I came down to the brewery and went to work there, largely responsible for production, maintenance, engineering, so forth, research, development, and just as the brewery grew, and I grew with it, and I haven't any idea when I joined the board of directors, we weren't all that formal in those days. Titles didn't mean anything; you just got the job done. Well, the responsibility I have to myself is the same responsibility that I would hope everybody has to their self, and that's to maintain myself in the absolute peak of both, which you might call mental and physical health. And I think that this is so important as far as everybody is concerned, that there's a dedication in me to do what I can in the way of education and encouragement to get other people to follow the same thing. I'm a great patriot. I can't see the flag coming down the street and hear the band playing Stars and Stripes Forever without crying. And I think it's a shame that everybody can't have the same feelings about this country. Our young people particularly. Young people tend to take what we have here for granted. Again, I look back at the drawing card this was for my grandfather. He was born into the feudal system of Germany, economic and political oppression. There was no chance, there was no opportunity. And, but he had the courage to come over here, as have millions of other people who had the courage to come over here, and that's what makes this country great. And that's what I want to preserve. I think that's what I stand for.